What's up, guys? This is the Jose Show. Happy Tuesday, July 1st. I cannot believe that we are starting off the month of July and we are only 3 days away from the 4th of July. Man, time really goes by quick. But anyways, we still have a lot of good stuff to talk about, so now let's get to it. Now, let's start off today's show talking about Beyonce. So Beyonce had it really crazy this past Saturday because apparently Beyonce got into a little mishap with one of her props. Well, Beyonce pumped the brakes on one of her final songs in Houston on Saturday after a flying car prop seemingly malfunctioned while she was mid-air. So the Houston-born singer was making a hometown stop on her Cowboy Carter tour when the incident occurred during the penultimate song, in which she sits in a red car, suspended over the crowd while singing 16 Carriages. The car then circulates around the stadium while Beyonce serenades her fans with the emotional ballad. Okay, but at NRG Stadium, she paused abruptly and said, "Stop, stop, stop." So video of the moment circulated online as Beyonce rarely pauses a live show. One video posted by Samantha Flores on Instagram appeared to show the car tilting dramatically to one side when Beyonce called to stop the show. Alright, so Beyonce seemed to keep her cool during the ordeal, even as fans frantically yelled to get her down. Another video posted by Flores showed Beyonce with 2 feet on the ground to finish the song. And this is what Beyonce said: If ever I fall, I know y'all will catch me." Okay, so this is insane, and this is all according to NBC News. Okay, so Beyonce was very lucky that she was not hurt and that everything was fine with her after the incident, because that could have easily either hurt her or, God forbid, killed her, because she was up in midair, like I don't know how many feet up high, and she could have easily gotten a concussion while falling all the way to the ground, or she could have easily gotten a lot of massive bleeding from her head, or maybe a lot of bruises on her arms, or God knows what else. And then that would have been, of course, a major lawsuit for the people that are behind all of these props, because they should have been careful before having Beyonce use one of these props. And that would have been a horrible experience, not just for Beyonce, but also for the fans, having to acknowledge that their own idol got hurt or got killed because of a malfunctioned prop. So this is why it's really important that when people are behind the scenes putting up these props, they are making sure that everything is working out 100%, not 99%, not 98%, 100%. Okay. And I think that to the person that is behind all of these things, maybe they're already going to be facing a lawsuit because Beyonce's life was already put in danger anyways, even though Beyonce, thank God, didn't get hurt or didn't get killed. So anyways, I think that the Lord was really looking out for Beyonce. The Lord was looking out for Beyonce. And if I have to be honest, I think that tweet from Nicki Minaj from a few days ago when she said starships are meant to fly, I think was a little bit shady towards Beyonce, because that tweet was like a little, like, I don't know, making fun of Beyonce type of way. Like, oh my God, well, cars can't fly, but starships can. So how dare you get on a car like that, flying midair, supposedly in the middle of your concert, ha ha ha, instead of being more of a supportive artist and been like, you know what? I really am hurt on what went on with Beyonce. I really send a lot of prayers. I send a lot of positivity towards Beyonce, since she could have easily gotten herself hurt because of the fact that the car was already malfunctioning up in midair. So, man, ladies and gentlemen, as artists, we need to uplift one another instead of making fun of one another. Now, maybe Nicki Minaj wasn't meaning it in a shady way. I'm just saying what I think from my opinion, on how Nicki Minaj got to say it in her own tweet. Okay, but anyways, on to the next topic. Now let's talk about Rosie O'Donnell. So Rosie O'Donnell is not keeping her own damn mouth shut, because Rosie O'Donnell isn't holding back on letting the world know what she thinks about Jeff Bezos' big money wedding, and she's taking direct aim at him and his new bride, Lauren Sanchez, throwing in some sharp shots at her looks. So on Monday, Rosie took to her Instagram post a before and after shot of Lauren, calling her Jeff's fake fembot wife and questioning why he ditched his salt of the earth ex-wife Mackenzie Scott for her. So the Instagram post linked to her Substack, where Rosie got even more poetic, slamming Jeff for selling his soul to the devil and ripping into the wedding, saying it turned her stomach to see billionaires gathering in the gross excess of it all. Okay, so in another post, she slammed the billionaire blown on the wedding. While millions lose Medicaid and SNAP, also Jeff can score a fat tax break. In summary, Rosie was preaching about bigger issues in the world than Bezos' billions. Okay, so while Sydney Sweeney, the Kardashians, Orlando Bloom, and many more showed up for Bezos' Friday wedding bash, Rosie wasn't the only celeb who gave it a hard pass. Charlize Theron said all the guests flat out sucked, and Katie Couric also dragged Lauren's bridal look. So this is insane what I am hearing here, because I think that, first of all, Rosie O'Donnell is making a really good point into calling it out towards Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's wedding, because I do believe that it's really gross and it's really cringy having to see that a bunch of billionaires are getting together in this high top-notch wedding, while a bunch of people like the working class, for example, like the low class and the middle class, they unfortunately are paying more taxes than these billionaires like Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez, for example, which to me is really unfair. And I believe that right now is the time where we should be more focused on the fact that, you know, there are people out there, especially the working class people, that are really having a hard time having to be paying a bunch of taxes because of the fact that they're barely making anything, and they're, you know, putting food in the table, they're paying bills, etc., and they're barely making so much for themselves and for their families. While these billionaires, they have more than enough money for themselves, for their families, and for the whole entire world probably, and they are not really contributing to much. So let's be realistic here. And also, I believe that it's a little bit cruel that Rosie O'Donnell is calling out Lauren Sanchez's wedding look, because I believe that Lauren Sanchez was simply having a really good time in the wedding, and she was simply happy about the fact that she was marrying the love of her life, and she was, you know, trying to look good for the wedding, and she was, you know, trying to, you know, call it out that she was, you know, gonna be the wife to the one and only Jeff Bezos, and that was it, you know. And by already looking at the dress looks really nice. The dress looks pretty elegant. I don't think that the dress was really all that bad at all, like Rosie O'Donnell was, you know, saying it to be. But I do think, though, that Rosie O'Donnell is also making a really good point, and is saying that it's just so darn unfair just having to see that, you know, so many people are more focused on the fact that this wedding happened in between Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos, and they're not more focused on what is going on right now with the lower class and the middle class when it comes to them having to pay for more taxes. And also because of the fact that they have been going through a lot lately with, you know, the deportations, with the fact that they are getting arrested, with the fact that they are getting, I don't know, discriminated for their own color, because of the fact that they aren't getting jobs in certain places, because unfortunately DEI is no longer a thing in any jobs, or at least in most jobs, and a bunch of other things that, you know, we should be focused on politically and of course economically. So I really do understand where Rosie O'Donnell is coming from here. And I think that it takes somebody that is so brave to be calling it out like it is. Because unfortunately, nowadays, we don't have a lot of people calling it out like it is when it comes to this wedding. We just are like, oh my God, this is a beautiful wedding. Oh my God, Lauren Sanchez. Oh my God, Jeff Bezos. And that's it. No. So, anyways, Rosie O'Donnell, you did good. But not really good in the part where you really went off and bashed Lauren Sanchez's look. Now, I do think, though, that it was a little bit interesting how she was calling out the fact that Jeff Bezos ended up dumping Mackenzie Scott just to be with Lauren Sanchez. I mean, I personally think that Jeff Bezos can be with whoever the heck he wants to be with. Okay? Just let it be. I mean, it's his heart, it's his own life, it's his own matter. We can't be intervening on who Jeff Bezos should be with or this and that, as long as it's not hurting us at all. All right, now on to the next topic. Now let's talk about Holly Bailey. So Holly Bailey found the perfect way to relax in Italy after her grueling custody battle with her ex DDG with the company of a new boo while her buns baked in the sun. So the Little Mermaid actress was in Positano, Italy on Saturday, where she and her mystery man were spotted splashing, kissing, and cuddling under the Mediterranean Sea. So Holly looked happy posing her bikini bottom for her dreadhead man, but couldn't prevent her thong going up the wrong way. Alright, so the mystery man seemed to be enjoying himself too, ditto for his iPhone camera roll. Alright, so Holly was granted temporary sole custody of Halo, the son she shares with DDG back in May after she made fiery allegations of domestic violence against the rapper/streamer. Alright, so they have a hearing scheduled this month to determine permanent custody of the 1-year-old. So Holly will be overseas for the next few months filming Italiana opposite Regé Jean Page, and DDG could very well be moving on himself. So this is insane that Holly Bailey is already moving on from DDG, even though they're going through a custody battle. Because I think that since she is going through a custody battle, I think that the last thing that she should think of is finding herself a new man. Because if she's going to be over here finding herself a new man and dating a new man, which she already is, by the way, she's actually going to put herself in more issues, because God forbid that the man that she is with right now ends up being a jerk and ends up being somebody that might want to get her pregnant. And then she might be like, okay, yeah, I'll get pregnant. And then later on, she has the child with that man. And then later on, there goes the issues between Holly and this guy. And then later on, there goes the custody issues of that guy. Of that boy or girl that she would have with that guy. And it would be more drama from there, And I might sound like I'm exaggerating, but if Holly is over here having a lot of, caution when it comes to being with men, and she is not sleeping with any men, and she's just, getting to know with men, then I think that yes, it could be a little bit okay having to meet men here and there while she's going through a custody situation with DDG, because at the end of the day, Holly Bailey is pretty young and she deserves to live her own life and she deserves to move on already. Despite the whole entire situation that's going on with the custody battle in between her and DDG. But like I said, I don't think that it would be perfect for her to be moving on completely to the point that she's going to be dating the man and sleeping with the man and then getting pregnant with the man and then marrying the man, and then more issues happen from there. If her and that man end up getting into a fight, and then they end up breaking up, and then there's the custody issues going on. So yeah. So anyways, Holly Bailey, just calm down with your little love life here, and just, take it little by little, and hopefully things get resolved in between Holly Bailey and DDG when it comes to the custody situation. I'm hoping that Holly Bailey gets to have full custody of this baby that she has with DDG, because my intuition is telling me that Holly Bailey is a really good girl and that she is not a bad person and that she is not a bad mother and that she would do what it takes to give her child a really good life. And it really seems like it to me that DDG is the psycho one here that is actually trying to harm the family and trying to harm the baby, especially because of the fact that I already heard that he already got into so much trouble because of the fact that he was strangling, I believe, Holly Bailey, and he was doing God knows what else to Holly Bailey that left Holly Bailey pretty sad and pretty traumatized and scared, that then later on Holly Bailey and DDG had to break up. And I don't think that that would be a really good thing for the baby having to be dealing with all of those things, because God forbid that DDG ends up doing those things to the baby or ends up doing those things to the baby as the baby is growing up. And then later on, the baby ends up being scared and traumatized and doesn't really have a really good father figure in his life because of the fact that this psycho DDG is provoking the baby. So we have to really observe well. And I believe that the court is going to have to really observe well with all of this, because if they're not going to be observing well, then they are going to be putting themselves in a really risky situation with this couple that is really not doing really well right now with this custody battle. So please, I think the jurors, the court system really needs to get it together and be like, okay, well, maybe Holly Bailey deserves to have this baby way more than DDG, and we need to have the really good proof of it all before taking the next steps. So anywho, good luck to Holly Bailey. Good luck. All right, now on to the next topic. Now let's talk music. So Mariah Carey is officially making her return to music with a brand new album. So the music icon recently spoke with Apple Music, confirming that her 16th studio album is complete and will feature 11 or 12 tracks. All right. So apparently there are some signature ballads included in this new album, and apparently what is going on here is that a few weeks ago Mariah dropped the project's first single, Type Dangerous, which was met with praise from fans. During her Apple Music interview, she teased that a second single is coming soon, adding, "It's very summery. I like the beat as well." So this upcoming release marks her first album since 2018's Caution. This is really amazing that Mariah Carey is making a comeback to music, because we've been needing to hear Mariah Carey's beautiful voice. And Mariah Carey never disappoints with her own music, nor with her music videos. She's always very authentic. That's what I love. She is not one of those artists that release a song and makes it sound really cheesy and makes it sound really weird just to benefit from the commercial success and benefit for the approval of the so-called critics, because unfortunately nowadays music is made in a different style with so much up-tempo, so much of the reggae vibes, hip-hop vibes, I guess you can call it, and that's what more people have been into these days. And Mariah Carey is like, no, I'm going to continue in my own lane, because my own lane is perfectly fine with the R&B, hip-hop, pop vibes, and I'm really going to make sure that it's really sizzly for the audience to be listening to. And thank God that the audience has been loving it, and thank God that the critics have been praising it, and it's been doing so good to the point that it's been doing so well in radio. And this is Mariah Carey's first radio hit in like 12 years, ladies and gentlemen, since 2013. Isn't that insane? That's how much impact this song has been making. And if Mariah Carey keeps it up with the promo with this song, by the way, this song is going to continue to rise in the Billboard Hot 100 charts. And I believe that we're going to be having a top 10 hit really soon from Mariah Carey, which to me would be really impressive, because we haven't had a top 10 from Mariah Carey in a long time. I believe in like maybe 16, 17 years, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, that's excluding All I Want for Christmas Is You, because that's a holiday song. And if we're going to be getting that really good hit from Mariah Carey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be so happy to the point that I am going to really be proud of Mariah. And you know what? It's artists like her that really deserve all of the praise anyways, all of the success anyways. But if Mariah Carey ends up thinking of doing a remix for Type Dangerous, I think it would be even a better idea, because I believe that it would boost the promotion for the song, especially if Mariah Carey is going to be including someone huge like Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B, maybe Ariana Grande in the remix. And I think that those artists would really make a really good fit into the song anyways. So, and the music video, by the way, is a really good music video. It really gives me vibes to her old songs from her album, The Emancipation of Mimi. Like, it really gives me the vibes from her song Shake It Off, We Belong Together. That's what I really love about this music video. Man, it's so darn good. And I believe that Joseph Kahn, by the way, is the director of this music video, which, by the way, is the same director of Taylor Swift's previous music videos, like Look What You Make Me Do, Blank Space, Shake It Off, you name it. So, and Joseph Kahn, by the way, is really good when it comes to producing music videos. He is the king. He is the masterpiece when it comes to making music videos. Jesus. So anyways, Mariah Carey, you keep up with that promo, and I hope that this music that you're going to be releasing really soon off of your upcoming album gets to have the same or even better success, because you deserve it, girl. And I cannot wait to listen to the new music. That's for sure. All right. So anyways, that is it for today's show, ladies and gentlemen. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's lovely episode of The Jose Show. Till next time, and peace.